I might actually just do one more like quick high level summary of what we do versus what like Claude Code is actually doing. So this is like an overall diagram of where different data pieces live today and how we build systems. So the far left here is Claude Code agents and like workflow tools like Clay or N8N. That's your main interface to us. So we are mostly just like a backend service. There's some places where you can interact with us, but for the most part, we're working through like Claude and Claude Code. You tell Claude Code what you need, Claude Code asks us, and then we go get it for them. And we sit here in the middle, and it's one API. So you hit the one API with the question or types of problems you have. We then go find 30 or 40 different sources and figure out what the best option is for your exact use case. And then the other part that we don't advertise as much, but we're trying to make a little bit more of a focus going forward is we actually track all of this for you. So whatever you do in the platform is stored in a database. So if 3 months from now, somebody wants to know where did we get this piece of information, or somebody wants to go and take over what you're doing and do something else with it, it's all centrally stored in this database at the contact account, just common concepts for go-to-market teams, as well as raw logs of every single enrichment that's run. And the value here is in a vibe coding first world, you can essentially build whatever you want on top of this because you own the database. It's a SQL database that you can just pass to Claude Code and say, go build me a custom org chart. And that's essentially what I'm going to show you right now. And then what types of data do we capture here? It's all the go-to-market data sources, which are often like contact, company, scraping websites, finding different ways to get information from different providers, as well as like first-party signals like who came to you by website, who responded to a message that I posted on LinkedIn, or anything custom as well. So you can just create a webhook. So let's say Stripe purchases. You can just pass that in and send it to us, and then it'll go into the same workflow model as well. Cool. Any questions there?
So wait, on the database piece, is that something that we would provide, or is it under like the Deepline infrastructure?
It's the Deepline infrastructure. It's automatically created and provisioned. I'll show you how you can access it in the UI. But basically, you go in, press button, and then it'll give you a URL, and then it'll track everything. So while this is running, I can actually just go show that to you really quick.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to create a org chart. If somebody has an org chart that they want to build right now, we can do it on live data. Otherwise, I will just use this example. Any org charts to be built? No. Cool. Okay. So we'll use my example here. So this is a guy at Stripe on the enterprise platforms team. And so what it's going to do is go find the management chain, and how it's going to estimate this is it's going to go look at 10 to 15 different data sources. 10 to 15 different data sources and say, all right, if I needed to solve this problem, where does that data actually live? And Stripe's a really big company, so it's going to be pretty hard to solve this one. But how it's going to do it is look at the titles, look at their history, what jobs did they have before, who's above him most likely, just on how companies work. So it's using a combination of what Claude knows about the world, which is this is how enterprise companies are structured. And then we're providing all the information that Claude would not know. And that's kind of like a good mental model of like, okay, what would Claude or Open AI, ChatGPT know out of the box because it applies to everyone? And then what's super specific to Stripe that nobody would really know unless they work at Stripe? And those are the two parts we're trying to answer. And we focus on the part that nobody knows. So it's going to go try to find the management chain. Let's do A and B. Don't ask any more questions.
So would you be interfacing with this on Claude or in Deepline itself?
Claude. Interface is always Claude. Yeah, so what Deepline actually is it's in the back end here. And it manages a lot of integrations for you. So let's say you didn't use Deepline, you would go and have to figure out, all right, if I wanted LinkedIn data, where should I get that? If I want to know data about Stripe and like when they last fundraised, I would have to go find another data source. And so it's just like point by point by point. You have to go figure out where that data lives and then also figure out how to use it. And that actually ends up being a more painful part than we expected because we have to do it a lot. but sometimes a company might have the data you want. You have to sign up for an account. You're paying like $60 a month, let's say, and then you only need like 10 pieces of information from them. So what we do is we aggregate all of those sources. So you don't have to pay for 20 different accounts to get small amounts of data from each one. We're working with those partners for you. So you just say, this is what I want to solve. We'll go find the best price or the best quality and get all of that for you. But we're entirely in the back end. Does that answer your question there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the back end of us, you have your CRMs, HubSpot, Adio, Salesforce are the most common ones we see. And then you have also tools that people use to send emails or send LinkedIn messages. And to connect, you go in here and enter an API key that the provider will give you. Or you can do like a direct integration with like Adio or Salesforce. And you can sync this data to the database automatically as well. And then platform integrations, these are the data providers that we have access to. So for example, Ad Intel is for advertising. So Lindsay, for companies that are doing a lot of ad spend on Facebook or Google, those are probably ones that are growing quickly or have some signal. That would be a case I would look at. For ecom, I generally recommend using this data set because it's pretty powerful for how much are they actually spending. Whereas, let's see, what's another good example? Yeah, a lot of these have very different ones. Trestle is what we use for phone verification. So if you try to get someone's phone number and want to be very sure that it's a real number and not a lawyer that will sue you if you call them, Trestle is a service that provides that. So normally you would have to go sign up for all of these and get access to be able to use that data. We just centralize it, so it's just one integration. You don't have to sign up for any of these. If you want to get better prices, you can usually get better rates by working with them directly. And that's like overriding your API key here. So if you have like an enterprise account with Apollo, your cost will be lower than we charge because we're not an enterprise customer there. And your API key, you add it here, and then you'll just be paying your prices. So you can also use this platform for free if you were to go get all your own API keys. Cool. Anything else there? Awesome. So good.
I have one separate question for you on the org chart piece.
Yeah.
So you said that there's like public data that it tries to like understand, right? That to put together the org chart, and then like internal data that you might not know. And oftentimes what ends up happening is that my customers will like do the selling, they'll work with a champion, the champion gives them like first party intel, right? So I am actually capturing that through Context OS. Are you familiar with like Jacob Diddle's? Like, okay, great. So what ends up happening is in transcripts, like these things will get captured. Is there a way to feed that information where it's captured into Deepline? I guess is the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And for folks who haven't played around with Context OS, what that is like when you think about all the data that you need and you use on a regular basis, there's structured information, and that's things like what's the company domain name or how many employees do they have. It's like a number or a data point that's very, very consistent and probably won't change that often. And then there's like softer information. So it might be things that people say on calls. It might be call transcripts are probably the most common one I see. It might just be what did they say on their website or what they said in an email. And those pieces of information are really scattered. And if you want to use that as a signal, you want to get it available to the LLM in a way. Context OS is one tool to structure unstructured information to make it more accessible. Willie, I would actually go even further and say like structure it even more. And Context OS is still storing it in like unstructured notes about a account in most cases, unless it's changed from my experience. I would even go one step further and say like, put it in a table that has like account name, account ID, and champion signal, like from call transcript, extract all of them and attach it to a structured event or concept saying this is an important piece of information we want to track later on. You can do it in a file also. Database versus file doesn't really matter. But I would structure it like one step further, and then it's very easy to add here.
Yeah, it's funny because like this came as a requirement for one of my mid-market customers, and I was telling them like, oh, maybe what we can do is just build a skill.
Yeah.
So that, but the thing is that like, you still need the enrichment point,
Mhm.
or like, to like get the titles, to get the numbers, like all
Exactly.
the things to have the CRM full.
Yeah.
So this is actually like right in line with what I'm doing. So thanks. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect example. So let's see what it actually produced here. I've just opened one. I have too many tabs open. Awesome.
Oh,
So it
and it will
did.
put it in like the sales format that you're selling in. So like I saw like medic, or maybe
Mhm.
I'm mistaken. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. Whatever context you put locally, it will pick up. So we have defaults for everything in these skills. So I have a skill that creates the org chart, and the goal is to create a visual view of what's happening. And then I said, this actually isn't in the skill. I said, create a buying committee, and we haven't really defined that, so it just did its best guess on what that actually means. And so it's saying like who's equivalent, who's another peer in the group, who's actually going to be related on like the ops side if they wanted them to use Deepline. So I found let me make this bigger so you can read it. So this is the guy that I put in, who's a friend of mine. And then it has his peers, the other AVs for enterprise platforms. And then it has the ops people that are related and probably work with these folks. And then it's the peer execs. So who's doing other aspects of what he's doing. And then who's above them. Like this is like overall strength, what's happening. And so when we look at this org chart, it's kind of trying to put it in a guide. And let's say I don't like this one. It's Claude Code. You can just tell it, I want it more hierarchical, make it like more visually appealing, add their photos. So where's the one I already created? Sales. This is one I created last week. One for one of our customers where Andrew is our point of contact, and then it's all of his direct reports. But here's one for Profound, is another company we were talking to, where we wanted to see like what their sales org looked like. So we can go into any of their people, say what's going on with Charlie's enterprise sales team. And what it used to find this data is it basically said like one data source is often not enough to answer some of these questions. If I had a good one with Brooke.
So where you have that Apollo tag?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. I was wondering
Yes.
if you end up hyperlinking it back to CRM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if
we
a record.
Yeah, if they already have a record in there, we can tag
Yeah.
that in, right? Because the underlying data has access to everything. So I can say add context from HubSpot for any of these users.
This is really cool. I don't know. I'm super hyped about it because as a enterprise account executive, this was always like the bane of my existence, trying to tie everybody together. So like this is incredible. Really cool. I'm gonna shut up now.
Cool. No, appreciate it. Yeah, the goal is just to give the tools to Claude Code and give it guidance on how to access that information. So HubSpot is also a tool. So it's going to go search, I guess it's using the MCP, not us right now, because I have both installed, but it doesn't really matter to us. As long as it gets the information, it's going to go figure it out. And it should find Ian. Actually, I guess he texted me. So no, he's not going to be in there, but that's someone I should probably add. So I can say add him to HubSpot instead. Cool. So yeah, this is just kind of like a very tactical example of a workflow that people are doing. And when you, the way I actually did it is I started with the outcome that I wanted and then said, I want an org chart. Here's kind of what I want it to look like. And then can you go find the information that you need? Another technique I really like, I'm obsessed with this thing for some reason. It's called last 30 days. And this isn't a Deepline specific thing. Last 30 days. We're going to copy a lot of the stuff that they do over as well. But it adds Reddit, X, YouTube, and Hacker News to the search. And the reason this is really helpful, not because the information about your company is on Reddit, X, or YouTube. That's actually just a good place to find information on how to solve problems. So if I wanted like a really ideal account exec org chart, I've never been an AE in seat. I don't know what it like perfectly needs to look like, but I can say go research org charts on Reddit, X, YouTube, Hacker News, whatever. Find something and give me a starting point so that I can iterate from there. And this usually accelerates the quality pretty significantly. So we're going to start including it in what we do for planning. But I highly recommend playing around with this thing. It's pretty sweet. But it will basically tell you like, what is the social media world saying about the topic? I use it for everything from like account research to how should I solve this problem to how other people solve this problem. And when you think about like what LLMs are really good at, they have training data up to April last year or something, right? November last year. So they don't have any information about the last 6 months built in. They're getting a little better at web search, but you can't assume that they have any information after that. So what this does is it forces recent information. So it bridges the gap between, all right, what does the model already know really well, which we're not really going to be able to get better than they can. But what they don't know is what happened in the last 30 days. So that's an area that I've generally had like insane results with and would highly recommend playing with. And we'll start integrating this as well. Cool. Does that high level make sense on the org chart stuff? And then I deployed this to Vercel. So at the end, I can say I deploy to Vercel. And we have a Vercel account for everything else we do. It's very, I think it's free to start, and you can deploy just little mini apps. And it will just do a standalone app that you can share with a customer and get feedback on in like 30 seconds. Cool. That was fun. Perfect. And so next one that I'll dig into is like, how do we find unique signals that are like kind of important to us and may not be relevant to anyone else? So the way we solve this, GTM and skills. So I'm going to pull up. So we also, for folks who haven't tried this yet, we have a Clay to Deepline skill where you enter a Clay table and it will convert it into Claude Code for you, which is generally pretty useful. But niche signal discovery is the one I'm going to go to now. And this comes packaged with Deepline. So you install Deepline, this will come with it. And what this is doing, I use the word niche signal discovery, like everybody knows what it means. Our goal is to find things that are true about your target customers that would not be true for anyone who's not a target customer, but also aren't the same signals that maybe your competitors are optimizing for. And the reason I think that second part is really important is if you think about like your perfect customer, there's probably a slight difference between you and even your like closest competitor. We were doing one of these for Vanta. And Vanta is like a B2B enterprise security company. They have a lot of competitors. Drata is one of them. That's probably the most similar one. But even there, if you look at their customer base, one's slightly more enterprise than the other. So their scores should not be identical for like the perfect customer. And so historically, if you want to build something like this of, I want the most important signals to go find really good customers for my business, you have to manually do it. So you go talk to customers and you're like, all right, what were you doing before this? Or you go look at their website and see what they're hiring for. And you kind of do manual research and say, all right, I think it's because they're hiring a lot of account execs, or they're hiring a bunch of support people, and that indicates that they're dealing with a lot of support issues, so they might be a good fit for what we're doing. And you're trying to like make a mental model of, okay, I'm seeing this thing on people that we know are good customers, or they've told us from that like first party signal, but that doesn't really scale. And the other thing we've noticed is people are wrong a lot. You kind of like just confirm your confirmation bias is probably the most accurate way of, I already think this, so I'm going to go find information to confirm it. And that can be really brutal. I think a lot of people have worked at companies where after a couple of months, you're like, hey, are we targeting the right people? Like, is this the right audience for what we're doing? And that's kind of the challenge is a lot of people confirm their own biases. So what we're trying to do here is say, let's assume that we know nothing about the business or the customers. Let's just look at the customers and everything we can possibly find out about them, and then compare the before and after of, okay, here are good customers, here are people who are not good customers or lost customers. And we're not just saying like, what's a good customer? We're saying what's the difference between the two. And that's actually like the most effective way I've seen of solving this problem. And so what it's actually doing is we give it a target company, like what do we sell? Actually, we'll start one before so that we can get some results before the end of the call. Lindsay, what was your guys' company again?
Ground AI.
Cool. Run this on groundai.com.
I'm gonna have to drop in a few minutes, so hopefully.
Yeah, no worries. I'll send it afterwards. Ground AI. Sure. Awesome. So what it's going to do, I'm going to say, look at case studies. This is going to be a little suboptimal because it doesn't have like the negative case, which is really, really important here. Highly recommend doing the negative case. If you just do the positive case, it's kind of just like, oh, these are e-commerce companies. But what you're really trying to get to is what's different. What's different about the good versus bad versus what's common about the good. And that's where just use. So it's asking for lost ones, but we'll try to push it through. Awesome. So an example of what that looks like, and I think I've shared this around a couple times. What you'll get out at the other end is a list of signals from their website, from their job listings, from things that they've mentioned on social media or what's kind of happening depending on the company. And you can also like guide it if you already know things that might not be something we check by default. So we ran this for an e-commerce company the other day, and Trustpilot reviews were a really good signal, or an e-commerce tech company that is selling like returns optimization and making more revenue from lost customers in that realm. Trustpilot reviews were a really good signal of their good customers. People who are struggling with return issues or chargebacks, all of that information was kind of captured in those reviews. So that was a really good signal. We don't check that one by default, but we have access to it. So if you can give it guidance on, hey, these are places I want you to check, or run that last 30-day skill before, it's going to go find really relevant things that are completely unique to you. So if I ran this again, I would have negative cases, and I would use last 30 days before to say, for this use case, what are some public signals that we might be interested in? And what you're going to get out is when this signal is present, what is the impact on win rate? So for the cybersecurity company, keywords like FDIC mean that it's 60% more likely to be a win versus a loss, or a customer identification program. And we ask it to give an explanation of why that's relevant. Sometimes this is a little off because it doesn't know everything about your business, but generally pretty directionally accurate. And it looks at tech stack, it looks at what jobs they were hiring, and tries to give you a really clear idea. And then it also tells you bad fit. So what was really common on close lost or negative outcomes that wasn't common on positive cases. And it'll link to potential individuals that you should reach out to and give you a list of accounts that are not in your list, but might be a good fit. So if I scroll down here, these were the companies that are recommended: Mercury, Sintero, Marquetta, and it creates a scoring model for you. So it generates a scoring model based on the data that it's been provided. And these are things that should only really apply to your use case in your business. Most of them should not be generic at all. Yeah, John? Good.
Yeah, so a couple of questions is that it means that I would provide this skill with, let's say, 100 deals that have been won, 100 deals that have been lost.
Yep.
And then this would go and find commonalities within all these different companies, correct? And it does so by scraping the internet, by finding jobs, and then kind of doing like a back calculation as to why it will win and why it will not win. Am I understanding it correctly?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's looking at the statistical difference between the two. The formula that it's using is a smoothing on win rate lift.
All right, very cool. And how do you think this would work? Because I work at Riverside, right? And I think our tech is very diverse. Like, you know, we customers from legal, from e-commerce, from SaaS as well. So would it make more sense when I use this skill to subdivide the win and the loss through the different industries first?
Yeah, it depends on what your goal is and what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to build a campaign within that sub segment, then I would say, yeah, do it segment by segment, and then it's going to tell you differences between good lawyers and bad lawyers that are both potentially in your CAM. But if you're trying to go across all of those different segments, I would actually throw them all in and give it more data to start, and then it will still go and look at the differences between those subsegments. Yeah. So what level of granularity are you trying to execute on? If it's build your large campaign, definitely do that. If it's I want the best campaign targeted at legal folks or a subset, then I would do it for that subsegment. When we do it at the high level, we generally do still find signals within a segment. So one that I might have in here, let's see, HIPAA. How do you spell HIPAA? H-A-P-P-A? No. H-I-P-P-A, whatever.
HIPAA.
I might have taken it out of the example here. HIPAA, yeah, I took out HIPAA. In this particular example, we found that within healthcare, HIPAA compliance and telehealth both had different outcomes. So even within like a subset of healthcare, it said that like, hey, if HIPAA compliance is like their primary issue of why they need you, that's not a good use case. That's not it. But if it's telehealth, that's actually a good subset of this healthcare segment. So I would first do it at the high level and then go down. The other clarification I'll make is right now we're just doing it for close won, close lost. The same mental model, not the same skill, but the same mental model can apply to like any part of your funnel. So we have a talk with YG from owner.com where he did the exact same mental model for likelihood to pick up the phone. So they did a scoring model and the positive outcome was picked up the phone, negative outcome was didn't pick up the phone. And they just threw all the data that they had at it and like Claude go figure out what signals mattered. And then they went through and said, all right, well, it's saying that West Coast is more likely to, like the West Coast time zone is more likely to pick up the phone. And like, we don't want to assume that, so let's take that out of the model. But let's figure out which ones make sense for us, but let the model do the work and tell us what we should be interested in for who we should call. And they got about a 2x higher, I think almost 3x higher connect rate by doing the same process, the same mental model of good outcome, bad outcome, and throw data at it as what we're doing here.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying, so really just depends on like what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to do like a larger campaign or your main goal is like, hey, are we targeting the right TAM or prioritizing our accounts correctly? Then I would do larger. If it's, hey, the healthcare isn't working as like we thought, or this legal subsegment is not working as well as we thought, then I would run it on legal and say, hey, here's the good part, here's the bad part. Let's separate it and try to narrow it down more.
Right, got it. And I'm guessing like once this exercise is done, I can push it, into Vercel and, call it via a webhook for any new context that I reach out to kind of have like a predictive scoring on whether or not this prospect is good or bad, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Vercel, we have a workflow tool now. So we just ran it for this particular company. Yeah, need the negatives. So next time I'll have this pre-done. See that one. So you can deploy to, let's do this one. Deploy to Deepline workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys see my screen?
No.
No. Sorry. Got disconnected here. How long have you not been able to see my screen? Now that I think about it, I have been doing things. Cool. So what it's doing here, we have the org chart.
Only a few minutes. You're good.
Got it. Okay. I'll just do it in a different one. So here I have a couple minutes left, so I'll do it on that. Let's do improve. So here we have a workflow. This one is scraping likes and comments from LinkedIn, which is a pretty common one. So let me make this bigger. So this is scraping LinkedIn, getting comments, qualifying them, adding them to a Lemless campaign. And so at the end here, we have it got about 139 net new people that weren't in any other campaigns, created the campaigns and lem list. I'll post a video about this in a second. But John, going back to what we were saying, deploy this workflow to Deepline. This will try to take what we just did and the scoring, qualification, whatever you just deployed, and turn it into a workflow in our system. And that you can use as just an endpoint. So you can send it a lead, say, I'm going to send you a lead to this workflow endpoint, process it, send me the qualified results back, or like the JSON of whatever you want. Maybe you want to put that in the CRM. You can also deploy it as a web app, which is something we've done pretty often also. Vercel has a really good inbound qualification agent workflow that you can use the same workflow for.
Oh, so I can deploy it within Deepline and not within and not with Vercel, is it?
Yeah. So it depends on like what you're trying to deploy here. So what we would be able to do is a like workflow, like closer to N8N. If you want a user interface, you would still want Vercel for the like UX, like this part, the UI of being able to navigate this work chart would be something you need something like Vercel for. But if you wanted to have an endpoint or a workflow that went and build these automatically, you could do that with Deepline.
Okay, very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So example here. So it's a recurring cron job. Right now you have to edit it entirely in Claude Code. So Claude Code is the interface still. But here we're like on a regular basis pulling HubSpot contacts, parsing them, checking if any changed jobs, just to like keep our CRM up to date. So it checks to uses a job change API that only charges us if we get something positive. So it's going to go try to find all the people who change jobs, update them, and update them in place automatically. So it's kind of like a cleanliness workflow. And that is what we would be deploying here. So webhook, let's do webhook child.
I'm curious as well, like for Deepline, is there a limit to the number of contacts I can store within Deepline?
Could you rephrase the question or maybe give an example of what you mean?
So it's like, Clay has a 50,000 roles limit, right? So for Deepline, when I'm doing all this contact enrichment, what is the max number of roles that I can have?
Technically unlimited. So in the backend, this customer database is just a Postgres database. So it's automatically storing all your enrichments in this event log. It's syncing your HubSpot data as well. So you can access it. You can create a custom table on top of this. So whatever Postgres's limits are would be our limit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So the way we think about things is a little bit different than Clay. Clay, it's like one workflow is a table. We are saying like the back end is kind of independent of all the workflows. You have the back end, you have where everything is stored, you have your context, and then you have the workflow layer. And those don't need to be constrained by each other. You can just do as many workflow events as you want. The data is kind of independent. Yeah. Cool. Anything else that would be helpful to cover? I know we have a couple minutes left.
Just enrichments, like how that would look like, or maybe you already granted this. I had to step out, but like how, and like say you have a list of an event list, Dreamforce. How would you go about doing the enrichment? Is it like in the Deepline UX, or would it be inside of Claude Code? I don't really care where it gets done. I just want to see what a flow would look like.
Yeah. So let's do. I'm gonna accept this invite. And
it's like uber specific, but it's just like really like if you have a CSV, right?
Totally understand. Yeah. So
email.
yeah, so, honestly, just copy and paste it in is the short answer. So let's see. I'm going to do this event version. Where did that go? Okay, make this smaller. Cool. So I'm going to click this and get the little network log here, get a guest list, get the response. So I'm going to copy that. This is also a fun little thing. So I'm going to copy this and say, get emails for all results. Let's say enrich these with like this. I could also just copy and paste like a CSV over, drag and drop, add to the CRM after. So pretty trivial. It'll go do whatever you need it to do. You can also, we didn't cover just like cost management. So this is called the playground, which I haven't really looked at too much since we've been on here. But this is kind of like the UI for managing a lot of what we're doing. This one. So you can see like the process that the task is going under. So this is the one I did for the engagers. Tells you what the plan is. You can see the results intermittently and be able to access there. And then you can set a limit on a particular task. So let's say I want to enrich this list, but I don't want to spend more than $5. Just it's like a safety check. So do 50 rows first, or by default, I think we do 3 rows to start to let you like validate that it's doing what you want it to do, and then you can expand from there.
That's what I was going to ask. How do you go about doing the testing? You build the table, and I usually just do 1 row at a time until I get it exactly how I want it. Yeah,
so exact same pattern. We start with 3 rows. It goes through the entire funnel. I have it set to just go do stuff because I get frustrated. By default, it will stop. And then you can also have a hard cap here, just to be extra careful.
And since we're on this part, this is great. I mean, I understand that that's kind of like something I was looking for myself, my own company, to figure out how to like give an enrichment provider to everything that I'm throwing into my CRM. But I'm curious. I know you guys. I'd like to touch on packaging and pricing. I know it's usage based, but can you help me understand, like, would I pay you on a month-to-month basis? Like what does packaging and pricing look like for you guys?
Yeah, so we're very focused on the like back end compounding value. So the managed credits are just pay as you go, no minimum here. For workflows, we'll likely have to have like a plan at some point, and it won't be too high, probably like $99, $100. We're kind of figuring that part out. Our enterprise motion is this like database in the back end. So if you just want like a full staging warehouse, that's generally where we expect to get revenue from. Trying to charge on credits doesn't feel like a great business going forward. So the credits are kind of like just pay as you go, focus on that. If you're just doing enrichment and like basic workflows, probably good to go with that. Our per credit prices are generally like 50 to 80% lower than Clay. Where we charge is that Postgres database.
Are you going to charge me per action?
No, not there. We learned a lesson there. And that's kind of the point. Like if you're doing that kind of scale, you will probably need your own infrastructure anyways. We're not built for like a million simultaneous calls. So just use our enrichment, use the APIs you want, put it where you want it. We're as interoperable as possible.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you for running through
Jay,
that.
one more.
Yeah, sorry, Sujith, go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to discuss a couple of use cases. One is I wanted to find posts and comments from LinkedIn, not using keywords, but using say pain points or situations, right? So this is one. Second is once I find a good signal, then I want, say for example, from Toor, I found one signal. I want to scrape Toor's last 1 year relevant comments related to my situation and future comments. So these are the 2 use cases. So if you can help me.
Yeah, perfect. Sorry, Willie, did we answer everything you needed there before we switch? Cool. Awesome. Yeah, perfect use case. Honestly, I would just describe it the way you did. Describe it that way, and we'll get the right solution there. The part that I will say it's not going to get right away is because LinkedIn doesn't have like vector search or sentiment search. So you would have to pull the data first and you will get like charged for pulling the data, and then you can filter for sentiment. So let's say I just pulled this list here. Can you group the comments by sentiment and what was the other part? Sentiment and
So I think Shiva, if you're there, you can add more context.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just messaging you in the post that you had shared about this particular event. So what we are doing is we follow this JTBD, Bob Moist, the framework, where what are the challenges that people are going through, we see it as a demand, and for that particular demand, we are really looking at building a supply layer by creating that message. So the way that you're really looking at winning deals is through creating that value in the particular message, right? So the demand is in their own expression of whatever the challenges that they're going through.
Yeah. I didn't catch all of that. You were breaking up a little bit. I think I
overall understood. Is it clear?
Not super clear. I think I understand you just want like more personalized, like what's the actual pain point versus like a keyword or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think this is an example. So the post that we were scraping was someone talking about a potential, like, actually just what we're doing. Adam Robinson posted yesterday. And so some of the people are just commenting like, hey, yeah, I want this. Some people are saying like, it's not a Clay problem. You don't get the problem. Other people are pitching their own product. LLM slop takes was about half of it, which is great. But yeah, just the more enthusiastic people, like these are people that have a particular pain point or engage skeptics. So I might go to the questions one and say, how do I answer these problems? But yeah, the model is doing all the work here. I think you have to figure out what like the greater scope of information that you're trying to find is, like all founders who have some attributes, and then get their first layer of comments or signals, narrow it down. The other technique I would use is take the data that you've received, use that to generate rules for future searches. So Shiva, I'm gonna mute you if that's okay.
No, I can.
Yeah.
Yes. I think what you're saying makes sense. And how do we access this inside Deepline?
Just type it. So Claude Code, and then type exactly what you are trying to do. It's very like outcome focused. So what I typed here is actually just the outcome, and then we have examples for that online as well. So the way to access it, type GTM meta skill. That just says use Deepline, and then describe what you're trying to do, and it'll guide you through the process.
Okay, so the way someone had asked, how do you price this? So the entire workflow is what you're.
Yeah, you're just paying for enrichment.
How do you, like, based on the workflow, you're charging this?
Yes. Yeah, for the work, for the volume that you're doing. It's just credits, usage based.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, Ihor, sorry.
Got it.
Am I pronouncing that right?
Ihor? Yes.
Ihor? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I was the question is about the credits usage. So in some was when you were demoing, it was like some credits used and the others were not charged because it Deepline default or standard search was used. Can you explain what are these standard actions or like features that are available? What are the limits and how they work?
Yeah, so there's one. Are you familiar with Claygent?
Yep. So it's
so the way Claygent works. Let me see if I have a good example here. I have not pushed it yet. So yeah, how it works is we're using third-party providers for particular data sets. The one that's kind of like in between is if Claude Code can solve a problem, we want to use Claude Code solution when it makes sense. And there's one particular case here, and it's if you're trying to replicate Claygen. Claygen is a very, very good product, like insanely good. And what it's doing is it's doing web scrape with multiple steps. And Claude Code can do that as well. So if you're doing a small data set, we might use Claude Code's native web search and native scraping, saying, all right, go find these 5 data sets and go do it. You're not going to build a Claygen for like just 5 rows. But if you're doing something that's like 1 million rows, you don't want to use Claude Code for that because it's going to destroy your token usage. So we have to be kind of smart about, okay, well, if it's a small task, just use the native features, make sure that that's good. The quality is going to be better. You're using subsidized tokens. It's a better experience overall. And it's very like natively built in. And then we have an agent that we use when we hit a certain level scale, or like very similar to Claygen. So we might switch between the two depending on the problem. Does that answer your question? And it's basically size related.
Yes, yes. But it's kind of default behavior, or you configure it like.
You can configure anything. Everything is kind of orchestrated by skills and agent, your agent's MD. So let's say you only want to use Exa for scraping and you don't want to use ours or don't want to use Claude Code tokens. You can specify that, and that'll come into our preferences.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Cool. I know we're a little over time. Any other questions I can answer there?
Jai, I would love to like connect with you. I want to see how we can work together.
Yeah.
Do you have a calendar or time, or I don't know?
Yeah, if you just go to the Deepline website and get book a demo.
Okay.
That's the easiest way.
Yeah, okay. I can do that. No worries.
So awesome. Yeah. Really appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I'll post the recording here. Everything will be available. Still working on our docs. So if you run into a use case that just doesn't make sense, or the docs don't feel like they're explaining anything correctly, just let us know. I'm constantly updating this stuff. But yeah, goal is just to make it as easy as possible to solve any go-to-market data problem. I feel like we're pretty close to being the best at every single one. So anything you can do to help there in terms of like more use cases. One actual like ask for you guys is we have a skill to migrate Clay to Claude Code. And how it works is you essentially copy your configuration of a Clay table and then copy and paste it into our skill, and then it will automatically turn it into a workflow. And then you're paying whatever you can configure exactly how it's deployed. But the goal is to make this very, very easy so that if you have stuff that you're really happy with from before, how do we make that really easy to access in Claude Code? What we would love to hear is, one, does this work for you, or are there things that you want to migrate and you don't think would work in Claude Code, or taking you back to other tools? Anything that's a reason to switch tools back to another service is what we'd love to hear about. And this particular example, the skill will replace Claygen, but Claygen prompts, if there's things that are like really complex that you were doing that you don't think that the average scraper would be able to handle, that feedback is super helpful. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I can stay on for a couple minutes if anybody has anything else, but really appreciate your guys' time.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
One
Yeah,
question. Yeah. See, I see like you are able to do this GTM through Claude Code. Have you seen anybody doing this for personal productivity using Claude Code? Anybody in your circles?
Personal productivity using Claude Code, or what was
Yeah. Like I can see like this is the future, like people starting to use GTM through Claude Code, because I've kind of moved my work also using GTM in Claude Code. I'm just asking generally if there is anybody that you have seen building productivity using Claude Code.
Yeah, I'm probably one of them. I would say I do every single thing through Claude Code today. So sending emails,
Awesome.
drafting docs, markdown files, I create Google Docs, spreadsheets, all of my
Okay.
emails are through Claude Code. So I have been extreme. If they raise prices or like make it unaffordable, I don't. So
Okay.
yeah, essentially the workflow that I've had the most success with is just putting in API keys for all the services that I need to solve that problem. And then writing like a super small guide on like when I want to use Gmail, always use a draft, never send anything directly. All of those just like guardrails, but direct APIs have been pretty much the best way there.
Okay.
I think that is hard to scale to like an enterprise. An enterprise cannot do what I'm doing, but generally it's been very effective.
Okay, okay, thank you for that. And this comment sentiment, is it something that Deepline has created it, or is it there as someone else also is doing it, and then you're kind of modeling that? Because I'm hearing this comment sentiment thing, I think it's there in Trigify, but I'm also trying to understand through your work.
Yeah, we are not doing that. We are just getting you the data, and then Claude Code would be doing the sentiment. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
you can think of, yeah, going back to here. So like where we is
Okay,
you have all the raw data, like
Okay.
contact data, web research, LinkedIn posts, and then we sit in between, and we have database and data infrastructure, and then
Okay.
Claude Code is your interface. Claude Code is doing all the logic. We're not, we do run LLMs occasionally, but mostly it's just Claude Code doing any decision making, orchestration, processing of that data.
okay. So I have something like 50 pre-intent symptoms, which is kind of recorded in Claude Code. So Claude Code will use the Deepline skill to fetch that particular common sentiment. Is that how it works? I'm just trying to understand this.
Yeah, it would try to turn it into a query that would work on LinkedIn. So let's say you have 20 common pain points. What I guess my guess of what it would do, we should probably just test it. It will try to convert those sentiments into keywords or searches that would work on LinkedIn to get results, and then it would test to make sure that it does return results, and it'll keep trying until it gets something that feels right, or like that Claude Code says is good enough. So it'll iterate and try to find a good response, and then it will expand the scope of what it's doing.
Okay, and this entire thing is like a workflow in your thing, is it? Like
yes. So yeah, you can kind of think of it like let's say you just had the API that had every single data source you ever needed. It worked for LinkedIn. It worked for everything. You could write code to get data from that API. But you never have to, let's say you never have to do 2 API connections for anything, just one that had every single piece of information you need. That's what we are. So we're just an API. Claude Code is orchestrating around it. And we store data. We tell you what you last ran or what might be good here. But we're just an API. And then the Claude Code side is telling us what it wants to do, and we tell it which API endpoints to use. And then it will write to a workflow, and you can say, do this every day. And we run the workflow on an ongoing basis, but the workflow is designed by Claude Code.
Got it. Based on whatever the outcome that I'm really looking at accomplishing, like it will kind of orchestrate it with the Deepline, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And if I have like 100 accounts, and if I want to monitor these 100 people based on the sentiments, that kind of workflow is also possible using Deepline?
100%, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for this. And last one, is there anybody is using it through the use case based query search and then building context for each account? Like, I'm just trying to understand.
I am sure there are. We don't have like full visibility into what customers are doing on like their local environment. We really just see like the skills and API calls. But most people are using it at like the account and contact level, and they're storing it in local files. So I would assume so. Yes. Yeah. Let's get to. Can you remind me how to pronounce your name? Is it?
Shiva.
Sorry,
Shiva
not
Kumar.
Shiva. No, Shiva.
Shiva.
I know. Going to the next person. So we have a hand up from you.
Yeah, about the migration of Clay tables. If the table has some providers that you don't support, how do you handle that?
We try to find the most similar provider, and we'll flag if we don't have any provider. So we have, let's see how many, like 40. Oops. Creations. So do you have an example in mind of like one that you think we might not have or that you don't see?
I didn't review all of them, but like HG Insights or
Oh, yeah.
you have it?
So let's say HG Insights, it will just find the next best. It'll see what you're trying to get from them. So let's say you're getting tech stack from HG Insights. We'll go to the next best similar quality, similar price point version of the same thing. So in that case, it would probably take you to Crust Data for tech stack. It is my guess. Again, so HG, yeah, we just find, you can see how it says company search and people search. We index all the data points that it has. So the skill knows that HG Insights has this type of data. If that's what you're using, go find the next best option from what we do have. So it tries to find just a solution.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, awesome. And yeah, if there's any that you like need to have that are really good for a particular use case, just let us know. We can usually add a provider pretty quickly. Awesome. Perfect. I do have to run. Really appreciate everyone's time. Yeah, I'll connect with you folks afterwards.